let's talk about my 2025 reading goals. I don't know if anybody cares about my reading goals. It's fine. I'm just going to sit here and talk about it. So I put on Goodreads that I was going to read 100 books in 2024. I even put it on my little board here, which I haven't updated even though I've finished a few books. I think 4 or 5 books so far, and it still says 0. It's fine. I said I was going to read 100 books on Goodreads, but one of my main reading goals for 2025 is to actually just be more flexible with myself and to give myself the opportunity to change that goal and to adjust. I think in the past couple of years, there have been so many stories that I want to read, so many stories that I want to just like dive into, that I've gotten obsessed with getting these stories read and have almost pushed myself too far too fast and not enjoyed the stories as much as I should and as I want to, because I'm so incredibly focused on getting to all of these stories. So I want to give myself time to fully digest books, to take the time to really just sit and enjoy a book. And not that I haven't enjoyed what I've read. I've loved the things that I've read. But to take time in my reading and to kind of slow down a little bit, if you will. So last year, I think my goal was 180 books. I read 227. That is a lot. I set a goal of 100 this year, but it's available to change. I don't feel like if I don't read 100 books, I'm going to be upset with myself. It'll be fine. It'll be fine because I want to get more enjoyment out of the stories that I am reading, and to remember that I do have more time. This is not the only year I'm going to read. If I don't read it this year, it will still be there. I will still be able to read it. It's fine. I can read it next year if I need to. I'm going to do a whole video on the books I want to get to this year, which will make this entire point a little bit ridiculous, but that's okay. That is okay. I would like to just give myself a little bit more grace when it comes to how much I'm reading, how often I am reading, and just forgive myself if I don't get to a story. Because there were some that I wanted to read last year that I didn't get to, and I beat myself up over it a little bit, and I want to not do that. Tying into that, I think one of the things that I have done in the past couple of years is I've been so excited to read books that I've ordered them online, and I've, started a series and just jumped in, gone full steam ahead and plowed through that series. And for my birthday, one of the things that I did was to actually let myself go to a bookstore and go book shopping. And I had picked up the previous weekend at a bookstore, not ordering something online, the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty, and I had started it and I loved it, and it took 3 bookstores, but I found the next 3 books in the series, and I realized that I got a lot of enjoyment out of kind of searching for those books, having started the book, finding them in the bookstore, carrying them out in my hands, not just getting a box at my P.O. box and opening it. It was somehow so much more fun and so much more gratifying, and I was so much more excited to read these books because I had gone and looked at them. And I do go to a lot of author events, a lot of book signings, a lot of different bookstore events, but I don't spend a lot of time just browsing shelves, picking books up and reading the backs and deciding if I want to read them, knowing absolutely nothing about them. I did do that for myself for my birthday. I went to quite a few bookstores, used bookstores, Barnes & Noble, indie bookstores near me, and I have a massive stack of books. We'll do a whole video on that. But it was so much fun to pick up books that I had not heard of, that I hadn't seen on BookTube or BookTok. But to just look at books almost randomly and I spent probably 45 minutes in the used bookstore just reading the backs of books. And it was so much fun. And I walked away with a giant stack. And I want to do that more rather than seeing things and being like, oh, that looks amazing, I need to read it, and then buying it. And then it sits on my physical TBR for 2 years because I may read fast, but I don't read that fast. And I just kind of overwhelm myself with the number of books that I have and that I need to read. And so I want to kind of stop doing that. I want to focus on, yes, saving those book recommendations, having them in a place like Goodreads, where when I'm in the store, I can be like, hey, what did I think of this? Like, have I seen this before? This looks familiar. And go in and really just read the backs of books, find a book that, hey, that looks familiar. Maybe pull up Goodreads and go, oh yeah, I did put that as something I wanted to read for X reason and deciding to get it, but not just ordering every single time. Because I have way too many books. And I'm never going to get through my TBR if I don't slow down. So I want to spend more time just exploring books and exploring bookstores and finding things a little bit more organically, as opposed to just seeing a recommendation on my phone and immediately ordering it. As fun as that is, it's not as much fun as going to a bookstore. So I want to spend more time in bookstores, and I want to really focus on going to indie bookstores as much as I can. There is only one really close to me. It's a hike to get to any others. I love that bookstore though. I need to spend more time there. And when I say it's close to me, it's still 30 minutes away. So if there is something specific I'm looking for, I will be going to Barnes & Noble, because that is only 10 minutes away. But when I just want to browse, I'm going to try to go to indie bookstores. I'm also trying to take a lot of day trips and things like that this year. So I want to find bookstores in the places that I go and just browse and just buy one book. Or if I don't find anything, buy a bookmark, but support these local indie bookstores as much as I can, while also browsing and improving and increasing my own enjoyment of reading and book shopping. Because I notoriously just buy things in mass, mostly through Barnes & Noble. I get a lot of points through my Barnes & Noble membership though. So, there's that. But I want to start supporting indie bookstores more than I do and just browsing more. Big goal for me this year. We'll see how it goes. But when I go to indie bookstores, I am going to start vlogging them. They will be short videos. In 2024, I decided I was going to start reading through Agatha Christie's backlist. I loved Agatha Christie as a kid. I read so many of them. I still had a lot of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to just start rereading these. I'm going to do one a month. I lasted about 3 months. And then I fell off of it. I want to get back into that. I love Agatha Christie. These are just some random ones. They were honestly the closest ones on the shelves. I want to work through Hercule Poirot and then move into Miss Marple. I have never even read a Miss Marple mystery. I have only ever read Poirot. So I want to dive into Miss Marple as well, but I really just want to go back to the goal I had last year that I completely failed at, which was to read at least one a month. And I'm determined. I've got half of January left. I can keep going, and maybe I will succeed, but I can at least get one in this month, and hopefully I will continue to read through those because they are absolutely wonderful. Another reading goal that is a rollover from 2024 is that I want to read more graphic novels. I set a goal of reading one a month in 2024, and I actually did read 10 graphic novels in 2024, so I did not do a terrible job. Was it one a month? No, because there were some months where I read 3 and then quite a few months where I read 0. So I want to read at least one a month, maybe more than that. I think I'm going to start with Lore Olympus because I've heard nothing but good things. But there's something about a graphic novel that is just, it's a break from these big, heavy, dense fantasy books that I tend to gravitate towards, or these rather intense thrillers and mysteries. Even the most intense graphic novel, to me, tends to be a little bit lighter and a little bit more digestible and a little bit more popcorn reading, if you will, even though some of them are touch on some very, very serious subjects. Looking at you, Hungry Ghost. They are still just such a fun time. I have the best time reading graphic novels. One of my favorite books last year was a graphic novel. It was Nimona. I adored it. I need more graphic novels. I need to do better about reading more graphic novels, I think, because I enjoy them, and reading is supposed to be fun. Therefore, I should be focusing on reading the things that I enjoy. So that is a goal. Another reading goal I have for this year is to read more indie books. I have quite a few on my shelves because I have found some that sound amazing and that I want to read. I haven't read them yet. And some of them I've had for over a year. So I want to focus first on getting through the indie books that I already have and then trying to discover some more. I want to just start reading through those indie books that I literally have sitting on my shelf that I haven't read yet. I think because there's so much hype around these traditionally published books and I see so much about them that they live in the forefront of my mind, and then I forget to go back and look at my shelves and go, oh, you've got this indie book that you saw a review of or that someone sent you that sounds incredible. Read it. Read it. Who cares that it's not in the forefront of everything on social media, on BookTube, on BookTok, all of those things. who cares? Read it. So that is a goal. That is a goal. I'm going to at least get through the ones that I own and hopefully discover some more. My last reading goal of 2024 is to be more selective in my arcs. I have a lot of arcs right now that I'm very, very excited about, but I started this at the end of last year, probably the last 3 or 4 months of last year, rolling it into this year, being more selective, not requesting every arc just because it sounds interesting, because I end up getting overwhelmed and I end up with these books that I feel required to read, and it's not as much fun when it feels like homework. For the most part, I feel a lot like I cannot DNF an arc, or I have to push through further than I normally would. I don't love that feeling. I also just don't love ending up with these huge stacks of books that I need to read and feeling like I don't really have time to do that and read the things that I'm really excited about that are priority reads for me. So I'm going to focus on requesting fewer arcs and being very, very selective in the arcs that I pick. I'm very excited about the arcs that I have right now. I'm currently reading A Drop of Corruption, which is so good. And I decided to request it because it was one of my most anticipated releases of 2025. It was one I was going to read no matter what. So it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this read. I also have Gifted and Talented by Olive E. Blake, one of my all-time favorite authors, another most anticipated of 2025. So I do not feel stressed about the fact that I need to read this book. I want to read it and I'm excited to read it. And that is what I'm looking for when I'm requesting arcs, as opposed to just, that sounds interesting. I want to only request the ones that I'm super, super, super excited to read. I already read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. It is spectacular. You should read it. But those are the books that, again, I know I'm kind of being redundant at this point, but they're books I would have read anyway this year that I have highly anticipated and am so, so, so excited about, that I was going to read them this year no matter what. So having them as an arc is just the cherry on top, as opposed to, oh my gosh, this still sounds really good, but honestly, if I had just bought the physical copy, it would have sat on my shelf for 2 years before I ever got to it. I don't want those arcs. I'm hoping that in being more selective, I will also have more time to focus on the arcs and the books, not just the arcs, to focus on the books that I'm the most excited about, that I really want to read, instead of feeling like sometimes I'm putting off books that I'm really excited to read for the sake of getting through the arc or getting to the arc. And then I feel like sometimes I don't enjoy arcs as much because I feel like I had to read them. That's my soapbox. I'm going to get off it now. Anyway, those are my goals for 2025. If you have stuck around this long, thank you so much. I'm working on long form content. I'm not used to it, but I do love to ramble. So I think it's going to be good for me, maybe. But those are my 2025 goals. If you came over here from TikTok, please leave a comment down below. I love my community there. I love all of you. If you're new here, also please leave a comment. And I think here on YouTube, you're supposed to say like and subscribe and the notification thing. Do all of that, please. Do all of that, please, because I'm trying to rebuild a community that I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. If you know, you know. If you're over on BookTok, you know. But please do the like and subscribe thing, because I'm trying to build a community here. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be doing some long form content. I think this is going to be really fun. So thank you for watching for this long.